She walked into that prison believing the worst was already behind her. She was wrong. Within days, Sarah Platt's face was left bruised and swollen. Her daughter was staring at her in horror through a visiting room window, and the one person she trusted most on the outside was suddenly the one person she had to push away. If you thought Coronation Street couldn't turn the screw any tighter on this family, think again, because Sarah's prison nightmare has just gotten a whole lot more terrifying, and by the end of this video you'll understand exactly why fans are calling this one of the most gripping storylines the Cobbles have delivered in years. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we cover every twist, every shock exit, and every jaw-dropping cliffhanger from Coronation Street the moment it happens. Today we're diving deep into the storyline that has completely taken over soap conversation this month, the horrifying downward spiral of Sarah Platt behind bars. What started as a woman desperately trying to protect the people she loved has spiraled into a genuine survival story, and the latest episodes have raised the stakes to a level nobody was expecting quite this soon. For anyone who hasn't been glued to their screens every night this year, let's rewind and get everyone up to speed, because this storyline has been building for a long time and the payoff is only just beginning. Sarah Platt, played by Tina O'Brien, is one of the true veterans of Weatherfield. O'Brien first took on the role back in 1999, and aside from a short break from the show in the late 2000s, she's been a fixture on the Cobbles for the better part of 3 decades. Sarah is the daughter of Gail Platt, sister to David Platt and Nick Tilsley, and mother to Bethany and young Harry. Over the years, she has been through affairs, betrayals, business collapses at Underworld, and more family chaos than most soap characters see in a lifetime, but nothing could have prepared viewers for the situation she's found herself in now. The road to prison began with one of the most difficult and important storylines Coronation Street has tackled in recent memory, the coercive control and domestic abuse of Todd Grimshaw at the hands of his husband, Theo Silverton. Theo, played by James Cartwright, arrived in Weatherfield seeming charming and devoted, but behind closed doors he subjected Todd to a campaign of manipulation, isolation, and psychological torment. The show worked with the LGBTQ+ anti-abuse charity Gallup to portray the story with sensitivity, and it struck a chord with viewers precisely because Theo's cruelty was so carefully hidden from almost everyone around him. Sarah was one of the first people to sense that something was deeply wrong. Alongside George Shuttleworth, Summer Spellman, and eventually Gary Windass, she pieced together the truth about Theo's behavior, even putting herself in danger to gather evidence against him, at one point searching through his van in a desperate bid to find proof that could help Todd. Theo's darkness ran even deeper than domestic abuse. The character was also linked to the death of Billy Mayhew, a local vicar who had uncovered his secrets and paid the ultimate price for it. As Theo's mask continued to slip and the net closed in around him, the show was building toward an inevitable, explosive conclusion, and that conclusion came when Theo met his own violent end. What followed was months of nail-biting suspense as Weatherfield's residents lived under the shadow of an unsolved killing, with Sarah carrying a secret that threatened to destroy everything and everyone she loved. Her relationship with police officer Kit Green only made the situation more agonizing. Kit, determined to protect the woman he cared about, found himself walking an impossible line between his badge and his heart, quietly working to shield Sarah even as the investigation drew closer to the truth. Fans spent weeks debating whether Sarah would ever be caught, and whether Kit's loyalty to her would end up costing him everything. That storyline reached its breaking point earlier this summer when a breakthrough in the police investigation finally caught up with her. Sarah was arrested for Theo Silverton's murder, taken into custody in front of her horrified family, and questioned relentlessly by detectives determined to make the charges stick. Insiders described her as almost relieved in a strange way, as though part of her had been bracing for this moment ever since Theo died, never quite believing she could get away with what she had done. Despite everything Kit tried to do to protect her, the evidence simply didn't lie, and Sarah was sent to await her fate behind bars, with the very real fear of a life sentence hanging over her head. And that brings us to right now, to the episodes airing this month that have sent fans into an absolute frenzy of concern for Sarah's safety. Life inside prison has proven to be nothing short of brutal for a woman who, whatever she has done, has never had to survive in an environment like this before. The latest scenes show Sarah struggling badly with the reality of life behind bars after a hardened fellow inmate decides to target her, leaving her with a badly bruised and swollen face. When Bethany arrives for a visit and sees the state her mother is in, she reacts with total horror, but Sarah, ever the protector, tries to brush it off and insists there's nothing to worry about, a classic Platt family instinct to shield loved ones from the truth even while falling apart inside. It's what happens next that has really escalated the tension. Devastated by the danger she's now in and terrified of what it could mean for the people she loves, Sarah makes the heartbreaking decision to end things with Kit. She tells him she loves him, but insists she cannot let her situation drag his career and his entire future down with her. It's a gut-wrenching scene for longtime fans of the couple, who have watched their relationship survive lie after lie and now watched Sarah sacrifice it entirely out of love rather than selfishness. But prison politics don't stop for a broken heart, and Sarah quickly finds herself needing an ally on the inside. That's where things take a genuinely unsettling turn. Sarah begins to lean on a fellow inmate named Casey, opening up to her about Harry, about Kit, and about the support system she's lost on the outside. At first, Casey seems to be exactly the protector Sarah desperately needs. But then comes the twist that has fans on edge. Casey reveals that word has already spread among the inmates that Kit is a police officer, information that could make Sarah an even bigger target inside those walls. When another inmate directly threatens Sarah, Casey steps in and promises to keep her safe, appearing to cement herself as Sarah's closest friend in an otherwise hostile environment. Except Bethany isn't so sure. During a later visit, she notices Casey watching her and Sarah with an intensity that feels far more calculating than caring. It's a small moment, but it's exactly the kind of detail Coronation Street loves to plant before a much bigger betrayal, and viewers have picked up on it immediately. Is Casey really the protector she claims to be? Or is she playing a much longer, far more dangerous game with Sarah as the target? The show has left that question deliberately, agonizingly open. To make matters even more overwhelming, Sarah isn't just fighting for survival inside prison. She's also facing painful weeks of uncertainty before her sentencing even takes place. And she isn't the only Weatherfield resident living this nightmare right now either. She has become the third local resident sent to prison within roughly 8 months of Theo Silverton's death, following the earlier convictions and incarcerations of both Debbie Webster and Lauren Bolton, meaning Coronation Street currently has an entire mini-universe of storylines playing out behind bars simultaneously, weaving together drama from completely different corners of the street. The reaction from fans has been enormous. Social media has been flooded with viewers expressing genuine anxiety for Sarah's well-being, with many pointing out that Tina O'Brien's performance during the assault aftermath and the breakup scenes with Kit has been some of her strongest work on the show in years. There's also a growing wave of fan theories circulating about Casey, with viewers dissecting every glance and every line of dialogue for clues about her true intentions. Some believe Casey is being set up as a manipulative figure who could exploit Sarah's vulnerability, possibly even using her connection to Kit for some kind of leverage or revenge plot. Others think the show may be building toward Casey becoming a genuine, if unlikely, source of protection in a place where Sarah desperately needs one. Soap commentators and entertainment outlets have also weighed in, praising the storyline for refusing to sanitize the realities of prison life and for using the setting to explore how Sarah's protective instincts, the very trait that got her into this mess in the first place, are now the same instincts putting her in harm's way inside. So, what does all of this mean for where the story goes from here? With sentencing still looming, there's a real possibility that Sarah could be facing years behind bars, a life-altering outcome not just for her but for Bethany, for young Harry, and for the entire Platt family, who have already been through so much this year. There's also the question of Kit. Even with their relationship officially over, it seems unlikely that a man who has already bent the rules once for Sarah is simply going to walk away and let her fend for herself, especially with growing threats against her inside. Whether he finds a way to help her from the outside without risking his badge entirely, or whether his feelings pull him back into dangerous territory again, remains one of the biggest open questions of this storyline. Then there's the small matter of Gary Windass, whose name has already been quietly linked to developments around Sarah's case as pressure on her has increased, hinting that his own secrets and connections could yet play a role in how this all unfolds. And of course, there's Casey. If the show is setting up a betrayal, Sarah could find herself more isolated and more at risk than ever, right at the moment she can least afford it. If instead Casey proves to be a genuine ally, it could become one of the more unexpected friendships to come out of a Coronation Street prison storyline in years. What's clear is that Coronation Street is not slowing this story down anytime soon. Every episode seems to raise the emotional stakes further, peeling back new layers of danger while keeping the door wide open for even bigger twists ahead. For a character who has survived nearly every kind of soap disaster imaginable over the last 2.5 decades, this might just be Sarah Platt's most frightening chapter yet. To sum it all up, Sarah's decision to help Todd Grimshaw escape Theo Silverton's abuse ultimately led her down a path that ended in Theo's death, her arrest, and now a genuinely terrifying fight for survival behind bars. She's been attacked, she's sacrificed her relationship with Kit to protect him, and she's placed her trust in a fellow inmate whose true motives remain deeply uncertain. With sentencing still ahead and danger closing in from multiple directions, this is shaping up to be one of the defining storylines of Sarah Platt's entire time on the cobbles. That's everything we know so far about Sarah's horrifying prison ordeal on Coronation Street, but this story is far from over, and you can bet we'll be back the moment new details drop. Let us know down in the comments what you think is really going on with Casey, and whether you believe Kit will find a way back into Sarah's corner. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss a Coronation Street update. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.